generative AI as an AI that can create new content. So things like text, images, code, audio, videos, based on what you ask it. And the text can transform to become like proposals. Images can turn to become your social media campaign, social media marketing materials, those kind of things. Unlike older software that follow fixed rules, generative AI has learned from billions of examples of human writing. So we normally see natural language. So it has learned how we communicate. Most the other softwares are pre-programmed. There are a lot of rules. So if you work with data analysis like Power BI, those are pre-coded. Although they can do a lot of analysis for you, you can't just ask them questions in human language. So generative AI is built on top of those machine learning algorithms and previous AI that can communicate with you in human language. That's why you can go to any chatbot, just type in a question and it will do it for you. It has become very popular, and like we were talking about earlier, it's now the new way of working. Most organizations now are now adopting AI. Even the ones that have not fully adopted it organization-wide, or most of their staff or employees are using AI, one way or the other. And some of the common use cases for work include research and summarization, drafting and writing documents, data analysis, financial modeling. I know Claude is very good with financial modeling now. They released the new tool, which is really good. Then brainstorming and problem solving. This one is when you use AI as your third partner, which is really encouraged in the industry now, not just giving AI things to do for you, but ask it questions, let it ask you questions, explain things to it, and you guys can brainstorm. Then meeting and communication management, managing your emails, building voice agents, it can handle those kind of tasks for you. Another important one is coding and internal tools. So over the past 2 years, we've trained a lot of organizational staff and teams, and people are now using AI to build in-house tools instead of paying for subscriptions. Little things that you can do, you can now build it in-house. So it's very good for coding and building those kind of web and mobile applications. Another great one is we are seeing over time is social media and automation. At Workable, we have a tool that we created that automates our social media. The agents go out there, research trending topics, creates content, images, videos, carousels, schedules them and post them automatically, learn from the feedback and try to grow the social media account. So these things are being used by generative AI now. When we talk about categories or generative AI, we normally break it down into 3 categories. We have the conversational AI chatbots, we have the AI agents, and we have the agentic AI. For conversational chatbots, it's the ones that you give prompts, ChatGPT, Claude, DeepSeek, Grok. It answers your questions, does brainstorming with you. It can create documents for you or write things for you. It can analyze data if you upload your files. It can generate images, video, and audio. You can do a couple of those things, but it's more of conversational because you have to prompt it before it gets anything done. The next layer above it is where you start working with AI agents, like what we're going to do today. So with AI agents, they are more of task-based chatbot, AI chatbots. You can still say that, but they work on tasks for you. So you can give it a task, give it a context, and it will go and do the task for you. We use it a lot for repetitive tasks and maybe time-consuming tasks. Let's say you want to write proposals. You write proposals every other, let's say 10 proposals a month. You can train your AI agent to be writing those proposals for you. So those are repetitive tasks and different workflows that it handles for you. It can be ad hoc or you can schedule it. So you can say, go and you can, if you get a proposal now, you upload it to a chatbot and get it to write all the proposal requirements for you, the documentation, everything. Or you can schedule it and say every 2 days, check my email if we've gotten a new RFQ, download it and start preparing it so you can schedule it. So AI agents can do tasks for you. Then when we now look, the next layer above the AI agent is the agentic AI. We call this one autonomous systems. Now, they are more of goal-based AI. So you give them a goal, a target. A simple example is I have a social media I created. I want to reach 10,000 followers in 6 months. You give the AI the necessary tools and leave it to do its work. It will go and figure out how to grow your social media following for within 6 months. So it will go research your organization, your offering, create materials, create content, schedule them, post them, watch full comments, see what people like, see what people the kind of post people like, how they comment, when they share, time that gets followers. It just takes all those metrics and pointers into consideration and keep learning. We call it self-learning. So it keeps learning on the go as it keeps on doing the task. Now, to get this one done, it's more of a typical orchestration that you have to build a custom solution for. But for AI agents, these agents now are now being built inside the conversational chatbots that we know now. So if we look at the tools landscape, we know that the conversational AI agents are things like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Grok, Copilot in Microsoft, Manus, and Perplexity. These are very common ones. There are a lot of other chatbots out there, but these are the typical ones that we use that are very common and popular, especially when it comes to pricing. Their pro plans are quite generous, and all of them have free plans as well. So you go in there, try them, and use them to do basic work. Then for AI agents, we have Codex created by it's in ChatGPT and by OpenAI. We have Claude Cowork. It's also created by Claude or Anthropic. You have Gemini in Google Workspace. If you use Google Workspace, so you have the new Workspace Studio where you can build your AI agents. Then you have the Microsoft Office Agent Frontier. If your organization uses Microsoft, there is a Microsoft Office agent now that can do a lot of work for you. Then you have Manus agents and you have Perplexity Computer. So these AI agents, they actually work in two ways. They can work on your computer, that's on the files on your computer, or they can spin up their own computers in the cloud. So if you've toggled on the agent mode in ChatGPT and you ask it to do tasks for you, you see that screen that it brings out where you can see working on your task. So they can spin up their computer or work on your own local computer. They can control your browser if you give them access to, or they can use their own browser. So when you give them a task, they have all the tools that they need to complete the work. When we talk about agentic layer, agentic AI, we have tools that we use to orchestrate or build these complex solutions now. So we have tools like LangChain, Google Agent Development Kit, we have OpenAI Agent Development Kit, we have Anthropic, and we have an example of an agent that is an agent we've built. We call it Bossy, the CEO assistant. It can do different things for you. It can manage your teams, follow up, do tasks for you. So those are the three ways that we can use AI. For today's lesson, we are going to set up an AI agent. using Claude Co-work. So I'm going to demonstrate how to do that using Claude Co-work. But if I move back a bit, you can see that we have various other ways. We have Codex, Google Workspace Studio, Office Agent, Manus, Perplexity. I think next week we are going to cover Codex. But the key thing is that when you start building agents, you can choose one, or you can build a system that integrates all of them. But having one is okay, you can do a lot of work with it. When we are talking about AI agents, there are 5 or 6 concepts I've just written down here, which we should consider. One of them is task. Like I said, you can give it a task, just your normal daily workflow. Give it a task, provide the context, that's the materials, documents that it is going to use to work on the task. Then give it, set up your trigger. So when does it start doing the task? So one of them is event trigger, when something happens. An example is when I receive an email from so company, do this. So that is what we call event trigger. The other kind of trigger that helps them start is time. You can schedule it. So you can say every 2 o'clock, go to my email, read my email and highlight important emails so that I don't miss anything and tell me and notify me. You can also say label my email. There are a lot of things that you can do, but most of the ways that you can start using them is events trigger, time trigger, or ad hoc. You can just go to the chatbot and give it a task and tell it to do it. Now, to do the task that you've given it, it needs a skill. A skill can be your standard operating procedure. It's the guidelines on how you actually perform the task. So you have to give it a skill. These tools already have basic skills that most organizations use. Like if you want to write a document, a proposal, they have inbuilt skills. But for your own typical workflow, you may have a very standardized or complex way of doing things. So you have to provide that for it to do the work for you properly. Then you give it tools. What kind of tools does it need to complete the task? If you want it to work on your email, you have to give it access to your Gmail account. Or if you need it to download documents from your Google Drive, you give it access to your Google Drive. If you need it to create presentations with Gamma or Canva, you give it access to your Canva. So these are the tools. Typically, what we are seeing now is that AI agents can do anything that we can do on the computer. So anything you can do on the computer, an AI agent can do that. Okay, so so let's continue. So now we will now move on to demonstrate how AI agents are set up. Before I go on, any questions so far? Okay, so to set up your Claude Co-work, the first thing you need to do is to go to Claude.ai and create an account. For you to set up an AI agent, you have to be on the Pro plan, so you have to be on a paid plan. The paid plan is $17 monthly. So once you set up a paid plan, you can access Claude on the web, or you can also go to this. You can also use it with your Claude Co-work account. To get your Claude Co-work, you need to type, if you go to your browser, you can type Claude desktop download. Once you click on it, you see the first link that shows. Once you open this first link, you see something like this, and you can now download the application. If you're using Mac, you download it. If you're using Windows, you can download it. Once you download it and install it on your computer, you have something like this if you save it in a taskbar. But when you open it, you have your new Claude Co-work account and UI setup. Now, this is where you can set up your AI agents to start doing work for you. Like I said, the best way to think about this AI agent is anything that you can do on your computer, these AI tools can do it for you. When you go onto your Claude Cowork, you'll see on the sidebar, you'll see three tabs. The first one is the chat. It's similar to your normal web Claude that you use in the browser, but the main one that you can use to build agent is the Cowork. You can also use the code to build agents, but this is more for technical people. Not that you cannot use it as a non-technical people, but it's easier to use Co-work if you're non-technical. Now, the Co-work, you can do many things. You can give it access to any folder that you want to work on your computer. And when you give it access to that particular folder, you can now start putting different items there so that it can pick up items and do the work for you. But before you give it any task to do, after providing it with the context, which is the folder and the documents that it's going to work for you, remember that we said that you need to give it the skill. You need to enable a couple of skills so that it knows how to do the work for you. So to customize your account first, or set up your account first before giving it work to do, the first one you need to do is to go to your settings. If you click on your profile icon here, you go to settings. On your settings page, you have a couple of tabs that would pop up here on the sidebar again, where you can do basic settings. But the key ones is to give instructions for Claude. Now, this is an example of an instruction I've given for Claude to use for everything and anything it's doing for me. The main thing is for it to write like a human. The reason for this is so that any work it does for me, it doesn't look like AI work. All those like band was like these dashes or the kind of sentence that some AI tools use. Once you read it, you know that it's written by AI. So if you give it this kind of instruction, give it the kind of your writing style, your tone, how to behave, how to write. This is the first thing you have to give Claude. Once you do that, you can now go and enable some of the notifications. So, for example, if it completes any task for you, it should notify you on the screen or maybe send you a message on your phone. The next one is to check the capabilities. So if you click on the capability option, you should toggle on your artifacts. This is used to create some designs. So it creates like things like web pages for you. Not typically web page designs, but it can function in Claude. It can be interactive. You can use it for learning and training in your organization or in your business or for any other thing you want to do. We call it artifacts. They are really good. We will probably see them at work here. Then you also enable like execution. Just enable a couple of typically I toggle all of them on just to make sure that Claude has access to everything it needs to do its work. Now, the other thing we talked about was tools. For Claude to do work for you, you need to give it access to tools. To give it access to some tools, you click on connectors. In connectors, you can now give it access to your Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Drive, GitHub integration, Gamma, if you use Gamma for your presentations. So Claude can go to Gamma and create a presentation for you instead of you doing it in Gamma yourself. Now, these are the ones we have toggled on or connected for our work, but you can browse, click on the browse connectors to see more connectors. Once you click on it, you can see a couple of connectors here. If you use Shopify, you can connect it. If you use Notion, if you use Slack, HubSpot, Spotify, a lot of them here, Monday.com. So it's connected to all the tools like Booking.com. You can connect it to all these applications so that it can do work for you, depending on the task you've given it. To enable any of them, all you need to do is to click on the plus button and it will enable it. If it's Google Drive, it may ask you to sign in. Yeah, typically for all of them, it will ask you to sign in. So if you click on Canva, it will ask you to sign into your Canva account. Now, for skills, you also have the skills tab here. The skills, Claude has some skills that he has created for popular tasks that people do. Like if you need to design images or content in Canva, he has this Canva design skill that he has learned how to use Canva. So he probably will do better work than many people on using Canva on your behalf. So you have other skills like brand guidelines. If you are trying to create a brand for your business, team factory, different things. But if you have a unique skill that you want to create for your organization or for your own task, you need to enable this skill creator. The way it works is that when you are working with Claude on a particular task, you guide it to work. After you've completed that task, you can now say, create a skill for me on this task. The next time it will create a skill, give it a name. The next time you want to repeat that task, you just tell it to use this skill to complete this task, maybe with new information. So it will use that skill to be for you. Now, skill is typically like an SOP for maybe a simple task. But we have another one called plugins. Plugins are a group of skills that can do a complete workflow. So let's say marketing plugin. So there are different skills that Claude has built inside marketing plugin that can do a whole lot of things for your marketing. The same thing with finance, product management, operations, legal, sales. So once you want to, if you are in legal sector and you do a lot of legal documentation, you should enable the legal plugin so that whenever Claude is working for you, it can use all those skills on standard operating procedures that legal people used to work and do your work perfectly well for you. These skills make them stand out over other chatbots or AI, conversational AI tools because the skills help them to do work more professionally. Okay. Okay. The next one is the co-work. So for co-work, co-work can do tasks for you. One of the things that you can enable here is dispatch. So with dispatch, it can have access to your phone. So you mustn't when we say have access to your phone, you can work with Claude Co-work on your phone. If your computer is on, from your phone, you can tell it to go to your document folder and get a file for you there and do something and even send an email. So you can connect and interact with it through your phone. So from your phone, you can control your computer through Claude Co-work. Then you can also set up global instructions for Claude Co-work. Once you do, if you just click edit, you also give it global instructions. So here we did some kind of instructions like file safety. An example is never delete any file, because one thing to bear in mind, if Claude can create files in your computer, you can also delete files. But there are guardrails that are being set up, like giving it a specific folder to work in. So it can work outside that folder. But even within that folder, you can also specifically instruct it not to delete any file. You can also tell it to ask you clarifying questions before it starts doing any task for you, just to make sure it has the right understanding and context on what you expect. Then your tone, how you write, avoid filler phrases, things like this. You can decide your tone and communication style. Then typically you tell it about yourself or your organization so that you always have that context. So what happens is that for any task or chat you have with Claude Cowork, it will always load this information, and so that that will make it become aware and give you standardized responses all the time. Then the other important setting is your Claude in Chrome. If you enable this Claude in Chrome, it can work on your computer. An example of the way I use Claude in Chrome is if I want to complete a form online, I don't need to do it myself anymore. I can tell Claude to go and complete the form for me. It will go online, start clicking on all the buttons on the website and filling the form for you. So you can do that, but depending on the work, I know many people use it for job search now. So people can use it to go and apply for jobs because you will have access to your CV and it will be completing the forms for you. Some other people use it for social media. You can actually go to your LinkedIn page and make comments using your account. But you have to be careful when you are doing it though. Okay, so that is all for the settings part. Now, the next one is context. Let's do context first. So to give Claude context, you need to connect it to you need to give it access to a folder, a working folder, where it will do all the work. Then on your own side, that is where you put all the documents that you want Claude to do. So to do that, you can use projects. So if you click on projects, you can set up a new project. You can either start from scratch, set up a new folder with instruction files, or import a project that you've made in your other Claude in the web version, or you give it an existing folder. So what we can do here is to give it an existing folder on our computer. Remember, it can work on the files on your computer. The difference there is that you don't need to upload any document to Claude anymore. Just give it access to that folder on your computer and it can go and work for you. So for example, if I click on this, I can select a folder from my computer. I can go to, I think I have a folder, but if I go to documents, I have Claude Co-work folder I've created before, so I can enable it for this particular project. So I'll give it access to this and give it a name. Let's say data analysis or data entry. Then you can give it instruction. This is optional, but depending on the kind of task you are doing, you can give it instructions. So instructions will be how you do data analysis or data entry in your organization. What kind of Excel sheets or CSV files do you use in your organization? You give it that description so that it's aware. It always uses instruction whenever it's doing work on this folder for you. Always make sure that the memory is toggled on so that it can remember all your previous conversations. Then you can click on create. When you set it up, you now see that my project has been set up. Now you can now go back to that folder I created and put maybe Excel sheets and tell it to do analysis for me. It will go there, pick it up. You can also ask questions when or get it to make sure you can pause it when it's doing any work for you, or ask it questions, or tell it to ask you questions. One of the things to make sure to do is to always check your models, the model you use. So if you are on the $20 plan, you have session limits. There is a number of tokens that you can use every 5 hours, but it resets every 5 hours. Their best model currently is Opus 4.7. It consumes a lot of tokens, but it's most intelligent. Now, if you are doing very complex tasks, you can enable Opus 7. But for general work, you should always use Sonnet or Heiku if it's even a simple work. But for most things, make sure you click on adaptive thinking so that Claude can really think about your work before it starts performing any task for you. Then you can edit your instructions. This is where you can schedule the time for it to do your current tasks on this project. So if you click on the schedule, you can see every hour or daily, weekdays, weekly, do something. So if we say, let's do an example, let's use the same example, daily briefing, and I'll say summarize my inbox for today and highlight important emails. Yeah. So I will have to type this somehow. Let me just type this in out. So check my Google Calendar and Gmail for important meetings and summarize unread emails. I highlight anything urgent. Okay, so I'll just okay, so I like anything urgent, okay. Create a report in professional a well formatted Word document and put in the folder. Okay. Now it's gonna put it in the folder I've given it. I gave it. So the folder is Claude Co-work, right? And I'll see when does this happen? Hourly, daily, weekdays. So I'll say hourly. So this one, I can set this to do every hour, but we'll do another setting which would, so you can do this here, but what if I go back? Yeah, I can say every hour. So once it will start from, let me see, yes, this starts from hourly. So every hour from now, it will go and run, but I can say run now if you want to test it. So what I will do is just say run now because the next hour run is 8 p.m. Okay, we have 15 minutes. Let's leave it and see if it will run. But it's gonna run no matter what, okay? So that's the way to create an agent. So this agent every day, every hour, it will go and run. One thing to make sure of is that you have to make sure this keep awake toggle is on, because if your computer goes off, it will not work. Your computer needs to be on before Co-work can do any work for you. Okay, so there is a notification here, but it doesn't matter. So you can create as many tasks as you want, and this is creating your first AI agent. Let's see another. We would go and create another schedule later. But before then, let's do live artifacts. So for live artifacts, you can create visualizations using Claude here. If you want to create one, you can do create with Claude, and you can describe what you want to create. I want to make a live artifact, explain what live artifact. So typically it's explaining what live artifact is. This is another way to use the chat. If you don't understand any functionality here, you can just ask Claude, what does this thing do? Or if you have a task you want to do and you don't know how to do it, you can ask Claude, how can you do this for me? Claude will review your task and tell you how you can do this and give you the steps to do it. So it's telling me to reconnect. Okay, these things are connected. Okay, so it's giving me live artifact is a persistent HTML image that lives in Claude Co-work. It pulls fresh data from my connectors each time I open it. So what I will do now is to say, so you can give it information and it will help you give you visualization. So I will say, just create a dashboard showing count of my emails today. Focus on read and draft emails. Okay, sent. So it will just tell you, okay, how many emails have you sent today, or how many are there? So I will just tell it to do this for me. So it has access to my document, to my Gmail account. So it's starting up. One thing about Claude is that you can kick off multiple sessions at a time. You don't need to wait for it to complete one task before you start another one. So it's checking my emails and it's going to create a dashboard that will show me this. And this is the kind of thing it can do for you in any type of dashboard you have and any kind of database you have. So I will say allow for this task. Then the other one is this part, like I said earlier, is that you can pair this with your phone. So if you connect to your phone, then you can use your phone to control Claude Co-work. Now, let me give you an example. Let's see if that scheduled task, okay, it's going to run by 8. But if you want to do another task, let me give you an example of a task. So I can click on new task and say, let me choose a folder. Let me choose my download folder, for example. I have my download folder. Why is it like this? Okay, so allow. So I've given access to my download folder. Let me open my download folder and see what it looks like. So this is my download folder. It's scattered. But what I want to do now is tell it to organize my download folder into categorize them and group the files into specific folders. So what I will do now is to say, please organize my downloads folder to clean it up, clean and structure it. So it's now working. You can track Claude's progress here. Okay, so I've got a notification that a new artifact has been created. So if I go to live artifacts, And where is my artifact here? Okay, it's here. So I'll click on create and so Claude has given me a count of my email dashboard. Now, so when you have a dash, when you have a database that you're working with, it can create this kind of dashboards for you, but you can tell it the kind of design that you want. So it's not just giving it um basic information. If you give it basic information, it will give you something like this, which is still okay, but you have more professional dashboards if you write a detailed prompt. Now, if you don't know how to write those kind of prompts, you can actually go to chat and tell it to work with you. That's where you do your brainstorming session, come up with a brand, give you your brand guidelines, your the way you like things to be visualized, explain to it. It will now write the prompt that you give Co-work. So the way we work is that if you need to brainstorm or discuss or figure out how you want to do something, you can use the chat. Just do your normal back and forth questions. It will write all the necessary prompts for you, give you all the ideas. Then you copy those ideas and go to Co-work and maybe start a new task or go to an existing project and tell it to do the task for you. If I go back to my scheduled, let's see what's happening here. Yeah, okay. So it's not asking me a question, how should I organize my files? So I will see by file type, yes. There are duplicates. So it's highlighting there are duplicate files. So what should I do? Move to duplicates folder. I would say keep only the newest. What about the installer files? Keep them in installer folder. So it will ask you questions when it's not clear or what it wants to confirm how you want things to be done. Once you do that, it will now confirm and get all the clarification it needs to complete. So whenever you have started a task, you should always check to know if Claude is waiting for your input. Now, an example is I've answered some of the questions that Claude has asked me, and is now doing the task. After he has cleaned my download folder, what I can now do is to tell it to create a skill based on this process that we have just walked through. Once it creates that skill, I can now reuse that skill anytime I want to clean my folder. It doesn't need to ask me any question again. So that is how the skills are set up, and that's why the skills are very good, because if you are working on a very time-consuming, tedious task, you would not want to be answering the same questions again. So once you create a skill, just like you would do standard operating procedure, you will now use that skill to do future work for you. So, and also you can also see it as it's working. He has already cleaned up my download folder, so he has organized it already, and he can do this for any kind of folder you have. So if you have very messy folder or structure in your computer, you can get Claude to do this for you. So now you finish this, you can now say, okay, create a new skill for this. Remember that we've enabled the skill creator skill there. So that's what it will use to create this skill. And call it download cleanup. And call it download cleanup. So once you do that, it will create a new skill for you. Okay, so that scheduled work will still work on, it's scheduled to run at 8 o'clock. Okay, I think we have 5 minutes left, so I will stop here and take any questions that you have.